Welcome to a spiritual offering from Trinity Episcopal Church in Boonville, with the sermon of Mother Linda Logan for the first Sunday after Epiphany.
The people walking in darkness, they have seen a great light.
On those who walked in the shadow of death, a light has dawned. His name is Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God. He is the everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God. Celebrate His name is wonderful.
Sound the horn of salvation, for Yeshua is born,
And He will save them the bondage of sin. He is the way, and He is Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God. He is the everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God. Celebrate His name is wonderful, and He will sit on David's throne with justice and with righteousness, and of His kingdom there will be no end. Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, He is the everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God. Celebrate His name, celebrate His name, celebrate His name is wonderful.
In the name of the one holy God, Creator, Redeemer, Sustainer. Amen. I am reading War and Peace. I'm up to page 833 in this 1215-page text. War and Peace is generally thought of as a novel, one of the two greatest by Tolstoy. But it is as much historical reporting and political and moral commentary as it is narrative, which is why I never managed to plow through it when I was 19, or in any of the summers following. I always got lost in one of the early battles. I couldn't keep the Russians and the Prussians and the Hessians straight, and I couldn't have cared less about the hill everyone was fighting over. But a year or so ago, I took a course by the teaching company on the history of Eastern Europe, and it touched on part of Napoleon's campaigns, and that, I guess, was what reawakened in me the desire to read the book all the way through. War and Peace is set in the period of the Napoleonic Wars, 1805 through 1812, It has a cast of hundreds, many of them actual historical persons, one of whom, Field Marshal Kutuzov, under Tolstoy's pen, becomes relatable as a fellow human being with his own longings and quandaries. The characters my heart most connects with, though, are the fictional ones. Their lives, the details of which and the interactions between are what bring this period of Russian history and culture most to life. And that was, according to Richard Pevere, one of the two acclaimed translators of the version I'm reading, what Tolstoy worked to do: present how that period was. He wanted to speak the truth about that period of Russian life. War and Peace was written between 1863 and 1868. As Pevere has put it, the book grew organically as Tolstoy worked on it. Tolstoy revised battle scenes and added new ones. He visited the battlefield at Borodino, the decisive one in Napoleon's campaign against Russia, and making his own map of the disposition of forces in that battle, corrected the map of historians. He collected a library of materials on the Napoleonic Wars and incorporated parts of it into his book. And he made his own pronouncements as to what brought about the war. Was it Napoleon's love of power, the Russian emperor's firmness, diplomatic mistakes? Tolstoy raises these and other causes that historians point to. But for us, he writes, it is not understandable that millions of Christians killed and tortured each other because of these things. For us descendants, who are not historians, who are not carried away by the process of research, and therefore can contemplate events with unobscured common sense, a countless number of causes present themselves. Not just the actions of emperors and diplomats, but also the actions of individual corporals and sergeants, the nature of power in Russia, and the causes and results of the French Revolution. Without any one of these causes, nothing could have happened. Therefore, all these causes, which through the actions of countless individuals mounted up to billions of causes, coincided so as to bring about what happened. The event had to take place simply because it had to take place. Millions of men, renouncing their human feeling and their reason, had to go from west to east and kill their own kind. Well, I've only read the first 833 pages of the text and all of the accompanying notes, and I don't agree with Tolstoy's theology, which he states in various places that all of what happened was determined by divine will. But I do see in Tolstoy's work an understanding which accords with that of Jesus, namely, that the depth of reality is found in what appears to be insignificant. That it is the thoughts, the perceptions, the actions of each individual that are of importance. Shift gears now and think of what the Gospels show us. A person who came to be called the Son of God, moving among the people of his day. With whom did he spend his time? Heads of state? Religious authorities? Not until the final conflict in the last hours of his life. Jesus spent his days moving among the common people, focusing his energies on individuals whom society had cast aside, and on persons of some position who had lost sight of what the teaching of God was about. He focused on persons at or near the bottom of the social scale. He focused on individuals because each was a reflection of God's image, and in doing so, he brought them to an awareness of their value in God's sight. And the Gospels, written long after Jesus walked among these people, tell us in one way or another that how Jesus interacted with people had God's stamp of approval. Luke tells us that a voice came from heaven saying, "You are my Son, the Beloved. With you I am well pleased." This is stated as happening at Jesus' baptism, which was at the start of his ministry. And maybe it was God's declaration at this point that Jesus had claimed the path that he was to be on. Or maybe it was the understanding, the realization of the people Jesus moved among, retrojected back to the start of his ministry. Whichever it was, it directs the focus of all who hear the text onto Jesus. Pay attention, it says. This is how all of you who claim God's image are to live and move and have your being. This is what you are baptized into, this way of being in this world. I don't necessarily recommend reading War and Peace. As has been frequently said, it seems more like two books than one. One, a story that flows through the interactions of numerous characters, each brought to life as if the story depended on them. The other, the detailed record of military decisions and actions, and Tolstoy's ruminations on the meaning of it all. But the one aspect supports the other. The depiction of characters shows the truth of the period, how the actions of countless persons produced what was. This is the sense in which Tolstoy's statement is true, that because of all that persons did or did not do, what happened was what had to happen. I don't know where my thoughts will be when I finish reading this book, and I will see it through this time. But right now, my thoughts are on Tolstoy's determination to speak the truth about the period of Russian life he was writing about. What is the truth of the period in which we live? What, I wonder, is our truth as a nation?
There is no hope for a world that denies you, firmly believing a lie, hiding the hearts while the minds analyze you, all the time wondering why. Maker of all, we kneel interceding, fighting for your will. Father of life, your children are pleading still. Prince of Peace, come and reign. Set your feet on the mountain top again. Take your throne, rightful Lord, Prince of Peace, come and reign forevermore. There is no peace for a new generation, living and growing in fear. There is no home in a godless nation. Take your authority here. Maker of all, we kneel interceding, fighting for your will. Father of life, your children are pleading still. Prince of Peace, come and reign. Set your feet on the mountain top again. Take your throne, rightful Lord, Prince of Peace, come and reign forevermore. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Prince of Peace, come and reign. Set your feet on the mountain top again. Take your throne, rightful Lord, Prince of Peace, come and reign forevermore. Prince of Peace, come and reign forevermore.
This has been a spiritual offering from Trinity Episcopal Church in Boonville. We're glad you could join us this morning and hope you can again next week.